Slide right up. It's not the one we called up, is it? Man, that'd take a while. And this is how you come down. Another pouring rain day. Pissing. My dog's out there in the mud puddle thinking she's like a little kid with gumboots on, which is good. Inbox is getting absolutely jammed up as usual, non-stop, right? Non-stop. People to listen to. Another name that I have confidence in, although I will admit his voice kind of drives me frickin' bonkers sometimes, because it just makes you want to scream at him, clear your throat for crying out loud. There's Jordan Peterson, Canadian. I'm sure you would have heard of him. He's had a lot of exposure, been around a lot. He's a very intelligent guy, and he calls it the way it is. There's no bullshit. And he really is a critic of the regime crime family in Canada. And they are now hammering on him. And they're going to try to take his license away, I believe, and do a bunch of shit. I haven't looked intimately into the exact details. All I need to know was our government screwing him over, speaking out loud, speaking freely. But anyway, it's unfortunate. It's the way it goes up here in Canada, Stan. And his name's Dr. Jordan Peterson. And I do find him credible. He gets a little emotional at times, but who doesn't, right? Now, how should I start here? I was kind of debating whether or not to share this with him, but I think I will anyway. What the hell? It's cold. It's cold and damp and nasty. Imagine having sore bones and past injuries and you're getting this damp. Like, an example, I got a friend of mine, he's in his 60s, and he's a full-time fishing guide. He's got to go down some steep ramp and stairs to the dock every single day and back up again and back and all the shit. And he said that his knees are almost got him in tears, the pain. And he was a logger for years. And then they go down to Mexico, and the guy from Marlin tuna and stuff, and his pain goes away. And here's what I'm saying is, a lot of the people around my community that are homeless, having a tough time, there's a lot of, uh-oh, look out, look out, look out. Don't, take it easy. Oh, God. She's going crazy. Hold on a minute. All right. That was close. There's a extension cord coming up here, and she grabbed on it and started running with it. But anyway, in my community here, it's been a predominantly a logging town, logging commercial fishing town. And there's a lot of busted up men stumbling around. They see them all over the place. Broken from years of logging. Logging takes a lot of souls. I don't know any loggers that haven't had friends be killed. But anyways, that's another topic. So here's this guy. We were in Tim Hortons, a local coffee shop. Decided to go there, have a sit-down coffee. We're in the lineup. Look over, here's this hard case guy, older man. He's got his bicycle. It looks like his possessions, no rain gear or anything. And I caught him asking the staff there for a bottle of water, just some water. And he's asking in a real polite, timid voice, he goes, "Hey, just get some water, just some water." And I'm like, "Water? It's pouring out rain. What are you thirsty about?" But then I overheard him say, "Well, can I get some hot water? Could you just put some hot water in the plastic bottle for me so I can hold on to it because it's real cold, so I can ride my bike back and warm my hands up." This is a senior citizen. I'm looking at him. He's definitely, you can tell by his feature, he's clear-eyed. He's not substance abusing. And then he comes over, he walks by, and I go, "Hey, you want hot chocolate or something? You want a coffee?" He looks at me, he goes, all timid, like he's a pain in the ass or something. He says, "Well, I wouldn't mind a hot chocolate, maybe a little hot chocolate." Yeah. I looked at the kid and I go, "Would you get him a hot chocolate, please? A large one." And then I don't know what happened, but he wasn't looking, and I just took what I had out of my pocket and I slapped it along the coffee mug and handed it to him. And he looked at it, and the poor guy just broke down, started bawling his eyes out. But anyway, he's been logging for 38 years. His name was Yorkie Bob. I'm sure if my friends, when they come back from guiding Mexico, they're lifelong loggers, they're going to know who he is and tell me about him. And he had a few unfortunate accidents, including one, a pickup truck hit him on his bicycle. And he's lying on the road, another truck came over and ran over his head. I don't know his full story, but I did what I could. And you know what that man, first thing he said was, "I can't wait, I'm gonna go get some groceries." I'm like, good God. There's so many people out there that you wish you could just help, but I'm pretty sure the way things are going, the way things have gone, I don't think it's supposed to be this way. I know there's a pile of homeless people, there's a pile of hard, sad cases up there. I'm pretty sure this is the way it's supposed to be. I don't think the system or whatever's going on, it's just not the way this is supposed to be. I don't think it is. This is a result. That's what I'm thinking, for the most part. Anyway, I didn't need any attention. I didn't need to give him any attention. Just give him a chance to speak to him like he's an equal human being. And we walked away, went and sat at our table. He went and sat at the corner table. Of course, Sarah's sobbing. She's such a softie. But you know what? The guy he comes over and gives me a card. Dry, perfectly shaped card. He already had it with his possessions. I have a feeling he has to bring his possessions with him when he leaves where he's living, where there's no heat. And he gave me this. I'm going to share it with you. It says, and he wrote it down. He said, "To a couple of angels." You see the point I'm getting to after I share this, all right? He wrote this card. "From Yorkie Bob to you both, I'm very, very thankful. As a logging truck driver of 38 years, I'm still waiting for my pension of $1,750 to come. It's been a year now, and soon it'll come. You do not know me, and I believe in God. Always have, and I believe in angels. Never had I ever thought God would send a couple of angels to Tim Hortons. You do not know me yet. Your generosity will help me so much. I'm gonna go now to buy some food. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have a lot of faith. I'll not give up, and I'll have a great place, a home, with a lot of food. Thank you so much, Yorkie Bob. So there you go. I guess what I'm probably saying is it doesn't take much to be an angel today. All right? And every single one of you out there have it in you to be an angel today. All right? Or tomorrow, whenever you can. It's not hard. It takes about 5 seconds. All right? So, if I ever asked anybody for anything to do anything, just do something for somebody and help them out right now, all right? You see somebody that needs a hand, give them a hand. It takes 5 seconds, all right? 5 seconds. I'm gonna go find that guy. I'm gonna drive around and I'm gonna go find him, and I'm gonna make sure that he's not getting the runaround with his pension, and if he needs a hand, somebody who can deal with shit, I'm gonna go find out the details and see if he needs a hand to make sure that shit gets done. Hey, hold on a second. Crazy dog. Don't need her being obsessed with extension cords, right? But anyway, getting back to what I was just sharing, it's not hard to be kind. It's not hard to do kind things. But don't go videotaping it, putting it on social media, for God's sakes. The amount of idiots I've seen do that in those video shorts and stuff. It's like, what are you thinking? You really think those people need to be broadcasted to the world, being in a bad, hard place, just so you can get your little charge of whatever it is you're getting from it? Don't videotape that shit and put it online. Just go and be kind, all right? Now, what do we got? Here's an email titled, I believe it's going to be pronounced Sachaqua. S-A-C-H-A-Q-U-A. Sachaqua? Sachaqua. All right. Hi, Steve. Hope you're doing good. I shared with you the first story about standing at the fence and the Bigfoot was screaming. I've had several encounters after that. One time I was in a camper on my property next to my house. It was dark. My son was looking out the back window of my house, and my daughter showed up and was standing at the camper. It was dark, and my son came up behind her and scared us, and he said to my daughter, you either get inside the camper or you get inside the house. There's a Bigfoot over there. And we thought he was joking. So he said, we're going in the house. So while we were inside the house, I said to him, are you sure that's not any cows? He said, no, it was a Bigfoot. And I said, let's go outside and count the cows and horses because I don't believe him. And he said, okay. So we went to the fence, and he has this big, huge light that goes way down in the field. So he shines his light down out in the field, and we count the cows, count the horses, are all on the right-hand side. Danny shined this light over to the left where all these trees are. There's no punctuation, none. Let me try that again. Takes me a couple sentences to figure that out. All right, so he shines his light down out in the field, and we count the cows, count the horses, are all on the right-hand side. Danny, shine his light over to the left where all the trees are down the fence line, and this Bigfoot thing goes running down the fence line, and he follows it with a flashlight, and it grabs his big, huge battery, and it starts shaking it back and forth and roaring at us. All right, that's a typo. Must have probably meant a tree, big, huge tree or something. And starts shaking it back and forth and roaring at us. And he's got the flashlight right on him, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, I told you so. I told you and Mom that was one time. There were several more. Oh, this is tough for the punctuation, right? So I guess he forgot some quotes. Sorry, you guys. Grabs a huge battery. I'm gonna say he grabs a huge stick and starts shaking it, or tree, okay? Starts shaking it back and forth, roaring at us. He's got the flashlight right on him. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, I told you, Mom, that was one time. There were several more, but that was one time. but there were several more, but that's for a later time. I'll send it another one later. Thank you and have a good day and be blessed. Steve, in my story, I meant to say he shined his light where it says Danny, and tree where it says battery. Sorry about what this phone writes. Okay, gotcha. Terry, appreciate it. It's funny, we had 3 of us out shining these. We got some real powerful flashlights here. And we were out there shining the other night in different directions. And it is kind of creepy when you see that beam go out, vroom, vroom, you know, and nobody needs to see something like that when the beam hits it in the property. Nobody. Without knowing what's going on, what they are, who they are, and whether or not it's dangerous, right? Keep them coming, Terry. You got more. Send them in if it's going to help somebody. I've written to you before. I'm a retired engineering technician from Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in York County, Maine. The sole purpose of the shipyard is overhauling and refueling nuclear-powered submarines. I watch your program religiously, and I've identified common themes to Bigfoot encounters. And one of the themes mentioned often, it smells. I really think bad smells are a product of Bigfoot manipulating your senses. The reason I think this is because the rank smells people describe, not one person who described a god-awful evil smell ever mentions how it affected them later. Not one has ever said how it took days to get that stink out of their nostrils or how many times they had to wash their clothes to get rid of the odor. As a submarine worker, all you have to do is walk one end of the sub to the other and your clothes stink. Oh, gross. No way. I didn't know that. All submarines smell alike regardless of being overhauled or not. Your clothes will have to be washed after spending 5 minutes on a sub. The same thing happens when you're close to a skunk who has just sprayed the area. You don't have to have contact with the spray to have that smell stay in your sinuses and on your clothes. So what's going on? Are they really physically smelling what they're describing, or is it all in their mind? For what I've heard you read, I would say their mind is being manipulated. I also think mind manipulation is happening with ground shaking, fear, seemingly impossible roars, and other phenomena reported during Bigfoot encounters. I think the smell question would be on an interesting subject to investigate on your podcast. Roars, ground shaking, and fear are all intangibles. They can't be tested. Smells are physical as they linger. Not one of your contributors has ever mentioned that family members complained of smells from someone who had a Bigfoot moment. No one has ever said they went home and burned their clothes. Keep up the good work, Steve. Okay, man, thanks for that email. Appreciate it, and I just learned something new today. That's pretty disgusting. Imagine, I don't know how long the crews go out for on subs, but it must be a while, and it must be pretty frickin' nasty if that's what the deal is. Ew, gross. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, commercial fishing. Side note, commercial fishing, I'm on a trawler, an ice boat. An ice boat is a boat that fills its hull up with crushed salt ice. It's very cold. And you go out and you start catching salmon. 200, 300, 400 a day at times. And I'm cleaning every one of them, and you gotta pack them all in ice, down to the hold, pack them in ice, belly ice, pack them. Do the next checker, and so on. Sometimes you're out there for up to 3 weeks at a time, and all there was in that boat was a little stainless sink like you find in a pickup truck camper. Camper sits in the back pickup truck. Stainless steel sink, that big, that deep. That's it. No shower 3 weeks, cleaning up to 400 fish a day. By the time we get in to dump the fish off, I go have a shower, and it would take 3 shampoos, 3 scrubbing your hair before it would suds up. I can't imagine what it must be like for a submarine crew. But anyway, back on topic. Just a quick mention. I had a feeling I was giving it a little more attention about the smells a while back, and I said to Dave, I was chatting with Dave Pilatus, and I said, you know what? I wonder if the smell is residue possibly from when they pass through a portal, when they come into the same plane, the same energy vibration we are in, whatever's going on, I don't know exactly. But I said to Dave, I have a feeling the smell might be from when they pass to our same vibration, whatever you want to call it, through a portal. Dave said he agreed. That man knows a shit pile about these beings. So there you go. That's all I got to say about the sense myself. But that's a good topic and a good question, right? It's got a lot of minds wondering and thinking and chewing on thoughts, trying to figure shit out and sharing, which is good. That's why it's the round table of knowledge, right? Okay, you come across any more knowledge, sir, that you feel may be assistance to the crowd, man, share with me, all right? Chilling scream in the Okocho, O-C-O-C-H-O. Hi, Steve. You can share my name as I don't give a shit what other people think. Right on, a fellow free human being. My name is John Palazzi. Hope I pronounced that right, John. I have told this story many times to a handful of people, coworkers, family, friends. Some have mocked me for it and some have not. So let's get on with the story. It was summer 2008. Usually me, mom, dad, brother, nephew would be camping in July every year at a place called Newberry Volcanic Monument in Bend, Oregon. We took a day trip from Newberry to the Ochoco National Forest for some rock counting for geodes. We arrived later in the day, 2 p.m., and we all piled out of the truck to see dozens of pits people have dug. We all grabbed our tools and started digging. Whilst we were digging, maybe an hour or so elapsed. During that time, a silence came over the forest. We hadn't noticed because of our activity, but it was dead quiet, Steve. I had that uneasy feeling that I was being watched, hair standing on end like I was hit by an electrical field. The most blood-curdling scream was let out. Sounded like nothing I'd heard before. Almost female sounding. No bear grunting, no mountain lion scream. Almost sounded human-like, but too guttural to be human. After the scream, we all popped our heads out of the holes like gophers and looked at each other. My father asked my nephew if he had sneezed, as he had a small head cold at the time. I know my dad felt the same thing I did, and he tried to explain it away. Funny how we as humans will do that, be faced with the truth only to do anything to find another explanation. My nephew shook his head and said, "No." At that point, my dad, me, and my brother all said, "Yep, it's time to go." So we all headed to the truck very quickly. Me and my brother didn't even get in the cab. We jumped in the back of the truck bed. My dad put it in gear and took off in a cloud of dust. What really shook me up, Steve, is how we headed down the mountain. As we headed down the mountain, on a rock we passed just an hour or so ago that had nothing on it, now had a buck skull antlers. And all just sitting there, placed on the rock. It freaked me out, Steve. That's it. A feeling, a scream, and a dead silence. I never saw the culprit, but nor did I want to. It shook me up to this day, and I still get goosebumps / chicken skin telling the story. My family's second experience had smelled the smell of rotting flesh in the mountains up by Lake Tahoe. Been trailed down a drainage but could never see what it was. Only heard the branches snapping up the hill and the uneasy feeling of being watched. Me and my father are the most affected by them. We at the same time had said, time to go back. But what sucks is having to go back the way we came. What sucks is back was having to go the way we came, which is where we heard the branches snapping on the hill above us. It felt like we were being paced, but not stalked, just watched intently. Oh, it creeps me out. Anyway, those are my experiences. Maybe they'll help someone with their puzzle. By the way, to this day, I refuse to go back to the Ochoco National Forest in Oregon. However, I've not let the experience sour my time in the outdoors. This is my land too. And we share this beautiful planet together. Kind of regards, John. Amen. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I don't give a shit what anybody says. We are all here together. It's just, sadly, the majority of us don't act that way. We're all here together. And it probably will help somebody just with the location, right, man? Just with location. And I'll bet you somebody else is going to go, I knew it. Same shit happened to me when I was there, right? Usually what happens. Inner voice screaming at me. Hi, Steve, I'm a long-time viewer and debated a long time about sending this in. However, After hearing the email of the woman who sensed but did not see the Sabe, I feel I must add my own experience. You may use my name and location. I'm currently residing in Illinois. However, I am a Connecticut native. Many people may not have realized it, but Connecticut has a history of Sabe sightings. Much of the state is heavily wooded, and the Appalachian Trail cuts across, the northwest corner of the state. I used to reside for many years in Oxford, Connecticut, a rural small town. We have a walking/bridle trail that spans several towns. I've often walked one particular leg of the trail that ran behind our local regional airport because I'm an avid plane spotter and enjoy the sound of engines. This part of the trail also runs between a section of tall cliff-like rocks, power line towers, and swampy areas, very desolate. I also enjoy looking at the flowers and the animals I come across in this area. It is not as widely used as other parts of the trails which run behind homes, and oftentimes I didn't encounter another person, but I always felt safe. I did, however, always have my phone and bear spray with me, more for in case I ran into a bobcat or a black bear than any trouble with a person. I had an experience that stopped me from going back on that trail or any of the other trails again. It was a beautiful, sunny morning. I was, as usual, alone on this trail. I walked the length of that segment and was returning back. As I got to the halfway point, I suddenly felt I was being watched. I was in the area of the swamp, cliffs, and power line towers. No one else on that trail as far as I could see. As I stopped to check my surroundings, no sounds around me. The feeling became overwhelming, then turned to fear, a great fear. I literally heard a voice in my head telling me to run, just run, get out of there. The voice was actually yelling at me. I was 64 years old and have never felt the fear I felt at that moment. I've heard my inner voice before, but never with such an urgency as it yelled to me and told me to run that morning. I tried to tell myself as I was running to stop being afraid, and I slowed down. My inner voice yelled at me to run again as the fear struck me once more. I didn't stop until I reached my car. I started the car and got out of there. I may not have actually seen anything, but I am certain something was there that morning. If not a Sabe, then something else of an unknown nature, and it was dangerous. I did not go back. As you often say, listen to your inner voice, your gut feelings. I'll never forget that experience, even though I did not, thankfully, have an encounter. Keep up the awesome work you're doing, Steve. It's invaluable to us. You and your family stay safe and well. Lydia Chaudhry. Hope I pronounced your name properly, Lydia. Thanks for that email. And if anything, the location's going to help somebody, right? And if anything, somebody who possibly had the similar experience or seen something there, they're gonna email in, or they're gonna comment in the comment section below, right? One of the possibly tens of thousands of people that are sitting there in the bleachers watching and listening to everybody, not saying anything, just taking it in and not wanting to verbally relive their experience yet. All right, here's another one. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it freaking amazing how many people need to be heard? Isn't it crazy how many people need to be heard and have been frickin' suppressed or ridiculed or mocked? And it's not just hunters, it's not just fishermen, it's not just hippies, it's not just whatever. It's every single flavor of human being on the face of the planet is having these moments. And there's nobody can laugh loud enough to change that fact. It's not going to happen. This is titled Go Home, in caps lock. Is this for me? It was the late 60s or early 70s. I was 14 or 15. My family, aunts, uncles, and cousins and grandparents would go 30 miles up in the hills for hunting season. My gramps would tell us kids stories about the big, hairy people, to the point. I talked my parents into letting me go hunting one day. I know now I wish they did not, as I was about a mile or so from camp. I was sitting on a large grassy field when I heard what sounded like a mountain lion or a puma crying. Then a thought entered my head, go home now. Sorry, but walking back to camp, something was just inside the brush line keeping pace with me. I stopped, it stopped. I wasn't scared or anything. Besides, I had my trusty 3030 Win Model 94 that Gramps gave me this year, LOL. I got my first 3-point. Thanks for all you do, Steve. There you go. Short and to the point. And another one. It's kind of funny, right? It's like, you know, for the people out there who seem to be driven to discredit whoever the half talks. Who wakes up in the morning and thinks to themselves, what should I do this morning? I know. I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to try to find that email address of that one channel, and I'm going to make up that I had a feeling to go home and something is pacing me in the forest, and that's all I'm going to write, and I'm going to send it in because I'm bored to death, right? Said nobody ever. Said no one ever. Congrats on that 3.2, man. Keep going. Do not stop going in the woods, all right? No matter what. Do not quit. That's another thing I told Yorkie Bob yesterday at the till when I was passing him and I was helping him out. I said, just don't quit. Don't you ever quit. He goes, I won't. I'm not going to quit. And I go, don't you quit. Don't you quit. And that's why I said in his little letter, I'm not going to quit. Hi, Steve. You're sending this email again, which probably got lost in your email avalanche. Okay, man. Hi, Steve. Hope you broke out the snowshoes. I see BC is about to get hammered with another major snowfall. When was this? February 22. And his other email was April 21. Holy shit. See what I mean about the emails? For all you people that think I'm bypassing you. Hi, Steve. Hope you broke out snowshoes, blah, blah, blah. I've sent you a couple of emails, one which you read recently on your website. I've got another incident here which has baffled me for years, and I'm wondering if anyone else has had a similar experience. Just looking for support. You guys hear that part? It occurred on September 22nd, 1978 in the foothills about 60 miles southwest of Calgary, which is in Alberta. By the way, I think I mentioned this previously, but I've kept records of each hunting and fishing trip since I was 14 in 66. Makes for very interesting reading, for me anyway. Put it in a book. Put it in a book. You know what? When I first started guiding, I kept a journal, and I found that sucker a little while ago, and it's crazy to read my words in ink of day to day of what went on with those adventures. On this trip, myself, my father-in-law, and a friend of mine were elk hunting, and the rut was in full swing. I drove my 69 GMC short box 4x4 down a trail alongside the Muskeg to the base of some hills we called the Sugarloafs. I know we have a Sugarloaf Mountain that's not too far from, which is south of Lumbee, I think. You could still drive on off-road trails then, till 1985 anyway. So I hiked west up through the ridges, frequently blowing my out call, and finally in late afternoon I got a response from high up on the opposite ridge. As I kept moving downhill towards him and calling, the bull did the same, heading downhill towards me and replying back. It is now starting to get late, close to the end of legal shooting. Cresting a low knoll near the bottom, I had the bull right there in the timber, probably within 200 yards, and he was still coming down. I decided to wait on top of the knoll as it was a height advantage position, and the bowl he was coming down through was thick timbered but quite open in the bottom. Now it gets strange. Right below me on the side of the knoll, about 50 yards down but obscured by thick brush, it sounded like two elk or a moose fighting. There was several heavy antler rattling sessions followed by a couple of intermissions in which the animals were oinking like pigs. Steve, this sounded like something trying to emulate a pig oinking. Could have been human, but what the hell is way back in the foothills near dusk, 5 miles from the nearest 4x4 trail, oinking like a pig? This started to sound like a scene from Deliverance. Oh, God. At this point, I'm totally befuddled and a little nervous. Hillbillies will do that to you. Anyway, I never heard any game animal make a sound like this. It's very close to the end of legit light now, and I still haven't seen the bull elk or the combatants below me. I blow one more call, the elk answers, he's maybe 125 yards out, and immediately all hell breaks loose. The animals or animal below me go crashing through the brush at a high speed, headed up towards the bull I called in. After a few seconds, it's dead quiet. I can't hear anything. Everyone is buggered off. But with faint hope, I gave one more call. Nothing. It's over. No doubt, I thought it would have been over when just the oinking sounds came out. Usually doesn't take much for him to shut him up, right? I hiked back down to the truck and I found my father-in-law and my friend standing beside the truck in the dark discussing what had just happened to them. I told them my story and they told me theirs. Apparently, they met up just before dark and walked back together on the seismic trail to the truck. Something big walked along beside them in the timber, about 40 yards away, grunting at them. My father-in-law said it was grunting like a bull moose, but it didn't sound right. Whenever they stopped, it stopped. It escorted them all the way back to the truck, and then nothing more was heard. Footsteps or fake grunting. My father-in-law laughed about the intimidation by whatever that was. He suspected it was some psycho hunter trying to freak them out. But miles from the nearest road after dark, get a life. I found out years later my father-in-law has had other run-ins with these damn things, but knowing nothing about Sasquatch, he never did put a name to them. The log patting incident which you read recently being a prime example of his lack of knowledge on the subject. I knew nothing about Sasquatch at the time, but have read plenty in the last 6 or 7 years. So I'm going out on a limb here. If that was a Sasquatch below me oinking, do you think he or them were rattling the bull in with some sheds and I was inadvertently aiding and abetting them with the bugling? Because if not, then I still can't make any sense of this whole crazy episode. And if yes, then they owe me a bull elk. Thanks you for your support, and to the dazed and confused out there who just want some answers. And by the way, got your book for Christmas. Apparently Santa, who's a non-believer, was listening and took my covert hints. I'm reading it now, and thanks Santa's reading 50 Shades of Bigfoot. Thanks again, Steve, for all you do. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Okay, man. Appreciate you. And I'm pretty sure you know by now, like most of us know, that elk and Sasquatch sightings seem to go hand in hand, right? They've been seen. I've had numerous fellow hunters in British Columbia, wild elk hunting. One in particular, one seasoned guy from up near where I hunt currently, they were stalking elk in the timber, and this big, huge, hairy man was right below them in the timber stalking the same elk. And he flicked his safety off. He was going to dump it. And he said the second he flicked his safety, all hell, that thing took off like a frickin' jet, smashing through the timber. So many elk hunters have had their elk stolen, taken from their camps, etc., right? How many times have I had shit go down when I'm elk hunting? Look at that one time I went elk hunting by myself. I think it was 3 years ago, because I'm going through a few external drives that I have loaded up right now. I'm finding all these old clips. And I just came across that clip last evening, because when I start traveling, I'm going to bring a bunch of content with me so I can keep busy. But I won't forget that one. That was I harvested that elk. I felt like something was running behind me on my quad in the dark, which sucked ass, because that never happens to me. I don't create that in my mind. I know I don't. And when I was in that tent by myself, every single time I woke up, all through the night, which was all through the night, I don't know why, and there'd be grouse drumming, which is odd, because I'd never heard a grouse drum all night long ever in my life. But I'd also heard possibly maybe 7 or 8 trees were getting pushed over and flopping on the ground in the distance in about a half a moon shape on the other side of the river. I was camped beside somewhere out there. I think those trees sounded like they were about, could have been 100 yards away, but they were getting pushed over and hitting the ground. What do you do? What do you do, right? When you already know they're out there, you've already seen one with your own eyeballs, which you didn't ask for, what are you going to do? You already know they're there before you even leave the house to go on your trip. What was I, 16-hour drive from home by myself solo up there and nobody around? But it's usually the way it goes. I mean, what do? You're not going to quit and run away and go home. Nobody's actually terrorizing me. I didn't get any sleep that night, but thankfully I did get my elk, and I only had to sleep there 3 nights, and then I went home. But there's another, I guess I'm just babbling about that because I was elk hunting. That's also That was also the exact same place. I had the trail camera spun to face the cottonwood, a foot, 2 feet to the right, 10 feet in the air, and 9 feet, and also where all those young cottonwoods, whether they were cottonwood or I'm having a brain fart. Hardwood trees, anyways, were all snapped off. 5 were grabbed in a bouquet and thrown on the ground, and the ground was stomped. A lot of people. It's funny when I shared that what I saw. Meanwhile, I spent more time in the woods than I haven't, and I shared that video. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that knee-jerk commented with rage. You dumbass and so-and-so, that's a bear and you effing well know it. Like just blowing a gasket. It's like, okay. Are you into hunting? Are you actually allowed to have a firearm? You know what I mean? Like, so that's another thing too about humans. As I watch humans and shake my head a lot, and in amazement of watching how humans go through this ride, a lot of them. What is it about this topic that makes people rage? Do you know what I mean? I don't get it. There's a lot of topics in the planet that I could put my attention to, but I prefer not to because I'm not into it, but it doesn't make me rage. Isn't that weird how this topic makes so many people react with rage and anger? It's interesting. That's a bit of a babble. How's that coffee doing? Actually juiced me right up some strong shit today. Now, 4 picks. Oh, here we go again. All right. More pictures. Hello, Steve. I've sent a few encounter stories in, which you've shared most of them. My name is David, although I'd appreciate keeping my last name confidential. Gotcha, man. No problem. Most of my experiences with these forest beings have been on or near paper company land here in eastern North Carolina. Recently, I've been working in a semi-rural area on the west bank of the Neuse River. This area is between a large water reservoir that our city uses for sewer discharge, affluents, and the mighty Neuse River. The home I've been working on backs up to a large swampy timber that is combination long leaf pines and mixed hardwood. Deer are plentiful along with every wild critter in our state, including turkey. This is not hunting land, as it dwells within our city limits. Our weather here has been a roller coaster, warm and cold, mild, snowy, rainy, icy, and spring-like warmth. The hardwood trees are yet to bloom and leaf out. That's the setting of about what I'm going to share with you. 3 weeks ago, on an overcast, warm day, I had several tasks to do in the yard adjoining the home. It's a large yard, almost like a mown field. There's a large barn garage in the back of the property, which I have to access from the back side. While working outside that day, I'd become aware that I was being watched from the tree line. I had that irrepressible feeling which I have experienced before several times. I saw shadows moving among the trees, like hiding in the dark patches. I kept hearing clicks, not growls or whoops, but clicks. I did my best to ignore it, but it did not stop. I gave out 2 loud, deep whoop sounds. Wait a minute, let me read that again. I gave out 2 loud, deep whoop sounds. Why'd you do that? I faced the tree line and held up my right arm. I gave a mental message that I've been in the presence of their kind before, and that I have the Holy Spirit in me, and that I'm not to be harmed in any way, not even one hair on my head. Almost on cue, there came quite a few hoots in different directions, like a group of great horned owls will do. But it was early in the afternoon for owls, and I could also hear deep moaning breathing, like a horse snorting quietly. As I said in my head that I was not going to play with them, and they should go away. I know they were not happy about my attitude. I said out loud, fine. I held up my right hand above my head with my cell phone, and I took a picture. First time I've ever tried that. I did not try to take a picture of any being. I know they don't like cameras, so I was using mine like a gun. I told them I could defend myself if pressed, but I would rather not have anything to do with them. I meant them no harm, and I expected the same. I then went into the barn and prayed over the property. I had no further concerns. I went home later and I had a lie down on the couch. Out of boredom, I guess, I went scrolling through my pictures and came across the picture I'm sending you. I mean, this is the truth. I never expected to see anything. I enlarged this photo twice, and there it was, about 10 feet off the ground, a face half hidden in the trees. The face also seems to be connected to a body hidden by tree limbs, etc. The figure is approximately 200 feet from me up an incline. I believe there had been a young one lurking in the dark shadows. I don't know photo-specific terms, so I'm sending you the foreground and the first enlargement and the second enlargement. At first, let your eyes focus past the branches and it becomes clear. A large eye, forehead, nose, and half of the mouth. It freaks me out. The face is sinister, and to think I came so close to it for such a time. I've lost my fear, but it seems aggravating to continually be sought after by these beasts. Regards, North Carolina. Keep up the good fight. Okay, man. I will share these with your story. And again, and I'm not being a dick, to me, it's just a blurry image. I can't see it myself. It looks like a shadow. But what I would suggest to you and everyone else who sends me in similar photos, what everybody really needs to do is go same time of day, same light conditions. If it's sunny, wait till it's sunny day. If it's overcast, wait till it's overcast. Go back to the exact same place, the exact same time of day. Bring somebody with you and get them to go stand there and take a photograph as well, and then submit your photo to the people with the comparison photo in accompanying as well. Okay? And that would go a long way for you, possibly, and for everybody else, but more possibly for you too. Right? Just like, remember a while back, I don't know, a few months ago, I was up the Stamp River on an old gated road, and the timber pulled over. I think I was coming home after filming those elk, and I read a whole bunch of emails, got home, and I even said that I had to look around because I wasn't familiar with that road, and I wasn't already familiar with where the game trail crossings might be or how often that road's traveled by possibly bears, right? Sure enough, on cue, behind me, unknown to me, a bear came out on the trail. And what did I do? I went back there, because a lot of people said it looked like a raccoon or a cat or whatever. I'm like, no, that was like 100 and something yards away for sure. Sure enough, it was 150 yards away when it paced, or was it 200? It was 200 or 150, whatever. And then I went back and I made the video to show you guys the size of the bear that came out and me. And it was actually a big bear. But I did it. I went back and I did it again, and I compared myself, and I submitted that to you guys just so you could see out of curiosity. So I'm saying is, it's not that hard to do. All of you who send in the photos of something in the forest, let's try to make it a rule, if it ever happens to you, to mimic the conditions, get a friend, go take the exact same photo with somebody standing where this being is or was that you saw, and then submit the photos all together to the people. All right? That would go a long way. But I'll share these photos. Take from what you will, you guys. Now, what else do we have besides 1,000 emails in here to get read? 1,000 plus. How many other 1,000 inbox? Here's a short and sweet and a photograph. Steve, I just saw a video on trail cam snaps. Here's what you have been looking for. He is not vertical, but now you know what they look like. Close. I don't want to meet this. This is a ASAP email just so you can pass the photo and knowledge to others. All right. That's a little odd. Right off the bat for me, I'll share it. What the hell? But right off the bat for me, that is created. The light on the wolf, whatever it is, the raging wolf, the light is absolutely different to the timber on the right-hand side. If it's a video, I'm sure somebody's got a video clip up and they can share it, and it was caught on a trail camera, but... And is that a wolf man? There's nothing man-like to that image to me at all. But who knows? I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know. Have I ever seen anything like that? No. Here, let's get a close-up of his face. Looks like it's shiny and wet and sweaty or something too, right? Big, clean, white teeth. Nice big, perfect white, pearly teeth. No stains on them, no chipped teeth, no nothing. All the wolves I've had my hands on, they got stained teeth, and most of them are broken, and they're never, ever pearly white. But anyway, who knows, you never know. You sent it in, I shared it. There you go. All right, who else do we have here? Here's a reply. I think this is a reply to a previous email about Daniel Boone. Short but sweet, Pennsylvania long rifle, range 300 yards. Pennsylvania long rifle, range 300 yards, George Washington's troops, average reload time, 58 seconds. The missing part to the equation. How fast can a Sasquatch run? One for fun, that'll get your gears in motion. A friend in the States, keep up the great work. Okay, man, 58 seconds, that must be for a flintlock, right? Who else do we have besides tons? All right, here's one. Here's a common topic that gets emailed to me. Comments being edited. Steve, odd that video titled, "A huge hand grabbed me around the waist and tossed me to safety," from about a year ago. I commented on the movement behind you at the time I saw the video. I know I did, for two reasons. Because I remember seeing that anomaly and wondering about it, and one of the two replies to my comment confirmed what I detailed seeing. Same as the letter writer details in his letter to you. Now here's what's odd. Excuse me. My comment, as it shows now, does not contain any of that narrative. Additionally, the second reply to my comment does not exist today. Ink. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Interesting. It appears someone's editing the comments section and we're not notified that our comments are being edited. Someone in YouTube land with keys to the kingdom. I also noticed that quite a few posts show edited. However, mine does not show as having been edited. By the way, I'm too old to give a hoot whether someone takes issue with what I say. Use my name. Regards, Charles Rat Dog DRB Green, Seattle, Washington. Okay, Charles, I don't know, man. It definitely isn't me. And I think we all know that. I mean, this platform is what it is. It's a very handy place for people for what we're doing. The people are here. It's one of the very first platforms. They made it popular. The majority of the planet's here, right? So, but unfortunately, it seems that the bad guys are running the show with this platform to top it off. I think that anywhere, anybody that suppresses the voice of the people is the bad part of the bad guy team. There's no way getting out of it. You are a piece of, you know what? If you change somebody's words, suppress their words, don't let them speak freely, right? On that note, there's a handful of you that have been a little saddened by my attitude towards what used to be a popular website to report sightings when it comes to this topic, but they are 100% guilty of doing that to all of you too. And I have no patience, and I don't have any respect for anyone or any place that prohibits you or tries to stop you from speaking or sharing your truth or changing it. And referring back to that website, I know of some very, very credible people who submitted a handful of stories, including points that are popularly made, but not so popular to be made public, to see what would happen. And sure enough, they didn't publish a lot of those stories they sent in, and the ones they did publish, they changed the wording. Go figure. Anyways, getting off track. YouTube. Yeah, it is what it is. And a lot of people are saying, just go to Rumble, man. Just go to Rumble. Go to Rumble. Well, I have been on Rumble. I do go to Rumble, but I think it's like maybe 16,000 or something. I don't even know. There's just, the people aren't there. And here I am. We are reaching millions of people here. So if I blow a gasket, an emotional gasket, that's it, YouTube, I'm leaving, and drop this channel and go to Rumble, well, we instantly lose sharing all of the truth with millions of people. This is a shitty position, right? So what do? I mean, I can't convince hundreds of thousands of people to dump this and go to my YouTube, go to my Rumble channel. It just isn't going to happen. I mean, I try, as an example, I tried to suggest to everybody here to please watch that video on Rumble titled "Died Suddenly." I don't know how many people went and watched it, but I'll bet you that not very many, right? So I don't have the power. I don't know how to make people do anything. I can't make people do anything. Nobody can. That's why I always preach. I never say like, subscribe, and share, because it's just a waste of time. If your brain's firing independently between your ears, you are going to seek out knowledge, and you are going to decide for you whether or not you need to subscribe to some place or not to be notified of what's coming up next. Nobody's going to make you do that. I guess there's the power of suggestion can make people do some things, but I'm not familiar with it. Anyway, I'm babbling. Let's get one more out. The dogs, the old crazy dog seems to be content. I got other shit to do, but I'm going to get some more red. One more, all right? And then I'm going to go in. Now, this is titled, My 3 Stories from Minnesota. Hello, Dave. A lot of people call me Dave. A lot of people email Dave and I the same emails. Anyway, my name is Chris. I have 3 events that happened to me. I'll keep them brief. First, in '97, I was working in the woods in Cass County, Minnesota. While I was preparing to fall the tree, I was bent down making a first cut when a loud voice, don't know if male or female, screamed in my head to stand up. I did immediately, for it was like a command. Just as I did, so a tree that I'd forgotten, a widowmaker as they are called, fell between myself and the tree I was preparing to fall. They were all big red oaks, at least 8 stick tall. I saw the tip of the tree vibrate before my eyes. Not a branch touched me. I tried briefly to understand what just happened, but I realized I couldn't. Then I was overcome with a feeling of happiness. For at that point, I know there was more to this all, life and what follows. Second story, 2007 in Duluth, Minnesota. I was leaving a friend's place. We were talking about his story of hearing a sound that made the hair stand up on his neck, and his dog, a shepherd, bolt away back to the car. My friend truly believed it was Bigfoot. Now back to my story. I left his apartment and was walking up a hill on sidewalk. I heard a loud roar that stopped me in my tracks. As soon as I stopped, the space in front of me tore open like it was paper, and out jumped an orange, red-colored, 8 or 9 foot tall Bigfoot creature. It jumped down the hill. I went down to look for tracks, but found none. I told very few of this, for it sounded crazy. But after watching your show, I decided to share, and on to the third story. It would have been about 2012 in St. Paul, Minnesota. It was dark. I was talking on the phone, so I stepped out into the alley. I saw something odd just above the treetops, were light poles about 20 feet, maybe 25 feet in the air. I walked to the end of the alley and was directly below it. It was a round orb the size of a beach ball. It made no sounds, and it had tiny little red and white lights at the bottom in a triangle format. I felt it was to make it appear higher in the air like a jet. Now, it wasn't easy to see being black and not too reflective, but there it was above me. Then it spun, and a bright light lit me up. I thought right off it was the St. Paul police and a drone. Now a second appeared and the light went off. They both were just above me, not making a sound. They took off without a sound, one down the front of the house and the other down the avenue. I never found anything online on them, but I still felt it was a government drone. But now, after getting to see how to hunt and Dave at Missing 411, I'm not so sure anymore. Keep up the truth telling and warn the people that our leaders are out of control. But please rest assured there is a God. And Psalms 91, you find freedom from stress and worries. In Psalms 36, the truth. The evil ones don't win. It says, look where they just were, and they are no more. They do themselves. They cause a lot of shit, but only the good remain, so be good. My friend Heather watches you all the time. She got me watching. Please say hi to her. Thank you. She watches every day. Heather? What's going on? I hope your day is doing good. Oh, a fourth story from Chris in Duluth, Montana. Hello, Steve. I screwed up on my first email. I called you Dave. That would have been Dave from Missing 411. I want to say that you two guys are by far the best on the tube. You both give a shit. Thanks for being so brave and truthful. Now, the fourth story, real brief. In 2017, I was home. It was late. I was made aware from my dog Cookie that something was at the rear of the house I lived in. I lived upstairs. At the rear of the house, there was a closet with a window. I crept to that window and looked out. I saw what appeared to be a person like 5 feet tall in what looked like a scuba suit on with a glass or plastic shield over the face with a green light like night vision, lighting the area. The face shield met suit. I didn't know what to think of it. I stepped away from the window, not wanting to let it know I seen it. I felt it must have been something and not of Earth. So I got a cookie and went to bed. Don't want to meet it, didn't want to believe what I saw. Anyway, don't want to see one again. Keep up the good work and thanks. Okay, that was a bizarre one, right? A lot of people are going to be going, what the F are you talking about, dude? Who knows what that was? I'm not the guy to ask. I haven't a clue. It sounds frickin' bizarre to me. But anyway, wait a minute. How long is this one? Too long. All right. I think I'm done for now. I got a lot to do. And, these are too long. Okay, I gotta go. I got shit to do. Stole oh, get this one. Sarah still has a bunch of hats left in her store there, if you want one. But it's kind of funny. All of a sudden I look over the dresser, here's my green hat, and I go, oh, where'd that come from? She's like, oh, it was just sitting there on the dresser. I'm like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It didn't mysteriously show up because I shredded the house looking for it. I think she repoed it, gave it back to me again. So that's a double repo, right? Anyway, she's still at it with the store. And then getting back to what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it doesn't take much. It just does not take much to give somebody some encouragement by doing some kind, all right? So maybe that'll be my challenge to everyone. Besides encouraging everyone to speak out loud and share their story, I'm gonna try to encourage everyone to don't look away today, all right? Don't look away today. Go make a difference. It doesn't take much, all right? It doesn't take much to treat somebody like a human being, a part of your community, and give them a little bit of hope and encouragement, and the kick in the pants to not quit, not give up, and just do something kind, all right? Just do something kind. Don't look away today. I'll be back shortly. If you own one of these crazy hats, the link's in the below. Until she runs out. Then moving along. I'll be back shortly.